'Cause I have $30,000 in credit card debt. When they call, I tell them I can't pay it back yet.
I have such a shopping addiction, then this is how I'm cutting myself off. Even my card doesn't want me to stop it. Come on. Come on.
All right. I have a confession to make. I had to make an interest payment on my credit card. I know that's the ultimate sin of a financially responsible adult, and if you're wondering exactly how it happened, well, simply I forgot to log in and pay down the statement balance when it was due. And I don't like auto pay, so that's why I didn't have that turned on. I think the interest payment was somewhere around $90, so it was pretty high. And the reason for that being is because I put pretty much every single thing I can onto the credit card that I use for the points. Groceries, gas, any reoccurring bills, any reoccurring subscriptions, Amazon purchases, work travel, personal travel, pretty much everything. At the end of the month, I pay down the statement balance, I get the points, I'm back to zero. So that made me think, how bad do the rest of everyone else have it? Are they paying on interest? Are they paying on debt? And of course, if you want to find out exactly what the people are going through, the best place you can possibly go to get the answers is TikTok. And what's really crazy is the amount of people on TikTok openly and freely, happily discussing the dredges of debt that they're in, whether it be student debt, medical debt, consumer debt, it's everything. And there is a massive following for it. I've seen this on Instagram too, but it seems like TikTok is where everyone goes to share their despair.
I have a confession to make, and it's not a pretty one. So I'm coming to the internet to keep myself honest. You ready for it? I am $123,040.54 in debt. Yep, you heard
That's
that right.
insane.
I am a single mom. I am 41 years old. I don't have any retirement. I've put my life on the back burner for a long time. My daughter is almost 18. She's the love of my life. And she is about to go off to college in a year and a half. And I am starting what I'm calling my empty nester era. So I'm taking this to the internet or TikTok specifically, to keep myself honest. I don't have an accountability partner. So
to be in that stage of your life and also having a daughter getting ready to go into college and have that much debt is just insane. I wouldn't be able to function, I think, on a daily basis. And the fact that she says she has no money saved for retirement, I mean, at this age, you've missed the best years of the possible compound gains that you could have had by starting earlier. This TikToker, she has a lot on here. It seems like her whole channel and profile is devoted strictly to her debt journey, and she has further videos discussing how she got into things, you know, the troubles that kind of got her into this situation, you know, both financially, mentally, and in her personal relationships and things like that. But there's also a bright side, because she shows off in some of her other videos the path that she's trying to take and the goals that she set for herself to get this debt paid down. And she also shows where the different debt comes from and some of the side hustles that she does to also try to bring in extra income to really make a dent in this humongous chunk of debt.
do I use my credit cards even though I'm $48,000 still in debt, 109 overall? This person says that every card is over limit and I'm paying late fees. Well, there's a very specific reason for that, and it's because I'm paying off a 327% loan that is tying up $650 a month for me. And that loan, if I can get it paid by next Friday, will actually end up saving me about $250 a month in interest.
in this video of hers, she's saying that she has $48,000 in credit card debt alone. I don't see how you can continually take out new credit cards and max them out, and then get another one and max it out, get another one and max it out. I mean, this has got to be criminal. At least I would hope it's criminal to be able to have an interest rate over 300%. But she's actually making a tactical payment here because she's trying to reduce down that certain one that she's mentioning in this video, and it's going to save her about $250. So there's part of that plan there that's helping her get this debt down to, I want to say, a reasonable level, but it's not even a reasonable level. It's still astronomical, but she's doing a great job, so more power to her. All right, let's jump into the next one.
So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt.
$60,000.
Okay. Part of the problem. You are. Let me explain how we got here. In June of 2022, we had a good amount of savings and decided that our home that we've been living in for a couple years just needed some maintenance and some upgrades. You can see behind me, we live in like a very normal house, but there were some things like on the outside where our stucco was falling off, so we needed to have that repaired. We had our house painted, we upgraded our bathroom a little bit, and also decided to pay off my husband's private student loan because the interest is not great. And so we had plenty of savings, and we decided to just drain those bad boys. We both had really stable jobs. We would be able to squirrel away some money over time and build back up our savings again. A few weeks later, unexpectedly, I was laid off from my job. And I'm the breadwinner of our household, so it did not go well.
So there's two issues right there that I think affect a lot of people. One, she said that they wanted to make house repairs, and the way that they did that was by draining their savings. And she mentions a bathroom renovation, so I'm guessing that would probably be the master bathroom, which renovating a master bathroom can be anything from, say, swapping out the toilets or the sinks to a full-on renovation, which could consist of gutting the entire place, replacing the floors, replacing the walls, the plumbing, the fixtures, the sinks, the tub, the shower, everything. That's a huge undertaking and a massive cost. That's like renovating a kitchen. But she also said that they drained their savings to pay for this. She doesn't mention anything about an emergency fund. And then, the icing on the cake, she says a week afterwards, she lost her job and that she is the main breadwinner of her and her husband. She also mentions that she has a child too. So now she's in a scenario where there's no savings, there's most likely no emergency fund, and she was out of her job. And she mentions in the video that she was unemployed for about 7 months, and so that they had used credit cards just to stay afloat. And her husband's salary that was coming in was going straight towards the biggest bill, the mortgage. And so if her husband's income is just going straight to the mortgage, I wonder exactly how much that mortgage might have been. Because they do say that if you're single or if you're in a relationship, married, whatever, your mortgage payment shouldn't be anywhere more than like 30% of your monthly income. So if this was something where it was closer to like 50%, 60%, and that took a huge chunk of their monthly income went straight to mortgage, and they had almost nothing else for the rest of their expenditures, plus she has no job, then it's just everything's a perfect storm at once that's going to cause them to fall into serious debt like this, $65,000. And she mentioned that that was $65,000 that was consolidated debt, so most likely it was even higher than that. All right, here we go with the next one.
Daily finance check-in, you know the drill. Debt remains the same, $41,905.14.
$42,000.
And my checking account is now at $425 because I spent $25 on gas, a necessity. And
zero in savings.
Yeah, I have some bills due in 2 days. I need about $3,000. So I have no idea what the plan is. I am in the most amount of risk I have ever been in my entire life. And I just keep surrendering this to God.
Cut out the green juice.
And this is the most discomfort I've ever felt around my finances. And I'm just trying to lean into this and view this challenge as an opportunity to grow. I just know that there's a future version of me that looks back on this time period, this month specifically, and is like, holy crap. Like, you broke through so much this month. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Still working on coming up with the money to file the bankruptcy. I gathered all the documents yesterday. Besides, I need 2 years of tax returns. I'm waiting on my mom to provide because my mom does my taxes, and she was busy yesterday. And
So wow, that's rough. So 0 in savings, $42,000 in credit card debt, and only like $400 in the checking account, with $3,000 of bills coming up within the next couple days that she said she has to pay. And then she also mentions having to pay for bankruptcy to complete the filing for that. And then also in the end there, she had said that she was waiting on some documents from her mom because her mom does her taxes. I wonder if she's in a scenario where her mom might also have some insight into her financial struggles and is helping her with that, or if she's taking this all on her own and just trying to get through in whatever way possible. But it seems like the path that she's going down now is that of bankruptcy. And you might see a lot of people on TikTok or Instagram or these different sorts of social medias say that bankruptcy is the answer, but it's really not, because the bankruptcy is going to affect your financial future. There's a lot of consequences that come out of bankruptcy. It damages your credit. Your property can be seized to help pay off your creditors. Your future in terms of finding a good job, a good house, those can be determined by your bankruptcy history. Not only that, but your future insurance premiums can be affected and caused to go up because you have bankruptcy in your past. And I think something that's big too is people will file for bankruptcy, get that complete, and then not do the reflection they need to make the changes to get them out of the situation that they were in that led them down that road. Things like excessive spending, shopping addiction, just general consumerism. And I know this from personal experience because my mother had to file for bankruptcy and she ended up having to foreclose on her house, on the house that we lived in as I graduated high school and was going into college. And she never did financially recover from that. And the impacts of that bankruptcy has still followed her all throughout her life. And she should be in retirement now. I wish that lady in her bankruptcy the best of luck. On to the next one.
Hi, I'm Libby. I make over $100,000 and my husband is giving me $1,000 a month
Over
to help pay off my
$100,000
debt.
salary.
And here's
That's
why.
really
I've actually
good.
been together since 2019 and he has seen my debt payoff journey right from the beginning.
And that's
when I
only her
graduated
salary.
college
She's
with more
married.
than $60,000 worth of debt, which at the time
But
was a combination
$60,000
of
in
student
debt.
loans and a car loan. Almost had no car payment at all. Then we got in a car accident and my Ford Focus that had a 2% interest rate that I owed about $4,000 on was totaled. If you've ever been the driver in a car accident before, then I'm sure you can relate to the car trauma that I came out of that accident.
That's terrible.
I knew
It was
that I
almost
needed a
paid
car
off
that
and
made me
then
feel
totaled.
safe. So I went with a 2019 Jeep Compass, been paying off the minimum
And now
monthly
owes
payments on that car loan, which comes
$16,000
out to
on it,
about
has a much higher interest
$490
rate.
with my almost 9% interest rate. In July of this year, after we got married, we sat down and visualized what would the first year of our marriage look like and what did we want to accomplish. It was a no-brainer that becoming debt-free would be the first thing we would tackle in our first year of marriage. Following this decision
They're planning
and
it
starting
out, so
this
that's
past
good.
August, I made major changes to my budget in order to put $2,500 of my own paycheck toward that debt every month. Being the angel my husband is, and the fact that he is debt-free himself, he offered to give $1,000 of his own money each month to contribute toward paying down that loan faster. With both of our efforts combined, we set ourselves on a payoff date of the end of January 2025. And with the way that we're tracking our progress, it looks like we may even be able to pull that in by the end of this year.
All right, well, that was pretty interesting. She said that when she first got married, she was coming into the relationship, into the marriage, with $60,000 of debt, some of that being student loans. And then she also mentioned a car payment. Something else I'm wondering is, before they got married, was he aware, the husband, of the debt she was bringing into the relationship? Because then closer towards the end, she said her and her husband were planning out how they wanted their first year of marriage to go, and they agreed that paying off the debt was probably their primary goal. And she says, as sweet as her husband is, he was debt-free and he was giving her his money to help pay off her debt. I don't know the intricate lives of most married couples besides my own, but I find it odd that their finances are not yet mixed and they each have different levels of debt. Him being debt-free, her having a lot of debt, and he's giving up his money to pay off her debts. I know that at least for me and my wife, when we got married and even before that, our finances were already mixed, so we had a path forward. We had an idea of what we wanted to accomplish financially, what we wanted to accomplish for our lives. And there was no your money versus my money. It was our money together going forward. She also mentioned there how her car got totaled and she was almost paid off on it and then had to get a bigger car that also had a much higher interest rate and a much higher car payment still due. And I've seen this in the past too, how a car accident can cause trauma, just like how she had said, and she wanted something larger so she felt secure. I knew a lot of men at my previous company I worked at who said they set up their significant others with pretty much the same deal. And once they had, you know, a kid or multiple kids, they put their wife in something like a Yukon or like, you know, an Avalanche because they wanted as much protection around them as they could possibly have. But then at that same time, now they had this huge car payment or truck payment they didn't previously have, plus the new expenses of having kids and childcare and everything else. I hope that plan works out for her and her husband and they can get to that goal of being debt-free within their first year of marriage. All right, this next one's rough.
I'm in my second year of medical school and this is my current student debt.
God.
$191,000. It literally goes up by hundreds every
$191,000.
single day.
And I currently have $8 in my bank account. It's like about $100,000 a year. And I think just right now in my mind, it's not real money because if I think of it that way, then I'm just gonna freak out every single day. So I honestly try not to think about it as much as I can and just trust that I'll be able to pay it off one day. I also know there are a lot of like programs that you can enroll in now to try to help alleviate that debt, but I just think it's outrageous how we're paying them to do service jobs that so little people want to do. And this is the reason why they don't want to do them, because like you get into your career and then you have $500,000 of debt. Mind you, I'm going to accrue more than $200,000 by the end of this. It's like I'm paying to give up so many years of my life to work for free.
Yeah, unfortunately. So she does talk about something there that is kind of that conundrum of, do I want to go chase my dreams to become a doctor and help people and change lives? But meanwhile, she's putting the beginning of her life into such astronomical debt that's going to most likely haunt her for the next 5-10 years, even after she's complete her education. And it makes you think, are the only people in the future that will be able to afford to be in professions like doctors and in the medical field are people that come from a family or a financial situation where they don't have to take loans to get through medical school and they can just pay through and get their degree and come out and say start a practice or start working for a practice or work at a hospital or something like that and not have any debt that they have to worry about. It seems like a losing situation going forward. And this next one's kind of a piggyback to exactly what that last video was discussing.
In 5, 6, 7, 8, I am ready to give up.
And this is like a meme here, but it's also kind of like a coping mechanism because the situation is just so unbelievably terrible. I mean, if that's true, what she's saying, that she'd already paid off $100,000 on the $180,000 loan and still owes $150,000 on it because of interest and, you know, only being able to make small payments in that massive chunk, it's just insane. And I didn't go to medical school, so I don't know if that's the normal or not, so I had to look it up. And it did say that in 2023, the average debt for a medical student was over $200,000, and that some graduates are paying $300,000 due to interest. Why would anyone want to be a doctor? And this is like that meme that everybody talked about when you were in elementary school, where they said, oh, I want to make a lot of money when I grow up. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. And I think if you would ask kids nowadays, no one would say that same thing if they knew the types of debt that they would be in once they finished their schooling and they were just starting the profession that they were after. And we definitely couldn't talk about credit card debt without showing a clip from the man himself, Caleb Hammer.
Your debt in total, $210,000. That's a mortgage.
Yeah.
And these are like
that's a small house.
15, 5, balloon, percentages.
Yeah.
This is insane. And you don't think this is that bad? You don't think that number is that bad?
The number sounds bad, but
Since you're not willing to say it, I need her to know behind me.
Yeah,
this is
200K,
bad.
that's more
this
than
is scary.
The first house
Not
I
all
bought.
of it's bankruptable either. There's a lot of student loans in here that will not, that worst comes to worst, will not be bankruptable.
bankruptcy.
Is what everyone says who goes bankrupt. So, any final thoughts? Any final questions?
No, I mean, thank you for taking the time to go through this. I know it was kind of aggravating, frustrating with all the paper and whatnot, a little bit of lack of clarity. I thought I was coming here with a lot of clarity, but as far as the situation, but I guess wasn't the case. But like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me.
So I think I remember some of the details of that guest who was on Caleb's show in that clip. And I believe he was starting a business and had to get a large truck, and not even just a large truck, I think it was like a service truck. And so a lot of that debt went back to those truck payments and that startup of that business and things like that. And so he rated that one a 0 out of 10 on the show for the financial score, and I totally agree. $200,000 of debt is just insane for one person to be dealing with. So this next clip here is also from Caleb's show, and I think this one really highlights lack of financial clarity that some people have when they start their adult lives.
How much you owe on the house?
I would say we owe about 30 to 40.
$1,000
Yes.
on the house. You owe $213,000 on the house.
The house is.
Not on a monthly basis?
No.
What, you think you pay $30,000 a month towards the house? Wait.
Like, how much do we pay monthly for the house?
Hold on. No. Hold on. I need to be very clear. You don't think you pay $30,000 a month for this house?
It's like 5, I think.
We only almost bring in like 4 to 5. Oh my. Okay, we're starting from
scratch.
Yeah.
We are starting. This is like.
Yeah. So it's been, so we've always been like, we've been together for like 10 years already. So we came from like high school to adulthood together.
Sure.
And he's never been good with numbers. So I've just never like, okay, you get paid. All right, we did this. All right, we'll do this. Like during school, we were getting paid. We did work study.
So that's rough, and I hate that excuse. I'm not good with numbers. He's not good with numbers. It's one of those things where you can't not be good with numbers as you start to get into your financial adulthood. Because if you want to have a home, if you want to be able to retire, you have to have some basic financial knowledge to be able to be even remotely successful, or you're already set up for failure. And if you didn't catch what the big issue there was, is Caleb asked, how much is the monthly mortgage payment? And the man responded he thought it was somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Meanwhile, they know that they only bring in about $4,000 a month of income. Caleb was asking them, do you know what your monthly payment is? And these sorts of just questions and terms were being lost upon them. This next one's like a little introspective.
I have a question. How much credit card debt are you in? Because for context, I'm 26. I've been working since 17, paying for my own shit, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt. And I will be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. I've definitely paid off medical bills and like emergency vet visits and things on my credit card, but I've also bought a lot of dumb shit. But it's like people my age have $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Do you see how my eye's twitching? Stresses me out. Like $55,000
I'd be stressed out too.
My take-home salary from my last job. Like, I think I'm just morbidly curious on like what gets you to the point of $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Also, who gave you $55,000 worth of credit in general? Like, not to mention my credit usage way high, like 90-something%. So my interest rates 30%. Like, the interest would make me want to throw up.
So there, I think she's asking those questions that everybody asks. How did you get into the debt in the first place? And how do you continually get more credit cards and more credit given out to you so that you can get yourself further into debt? And that's the thing, the credit card companies don't care because they're loaning you money and it's just numbers on a computer to them. Most of the credit they issue isn't backed up by any sort of cash. So for them, the more credit they issue out and the more interest that they can start to get on people is just providing them increased profits. And I did like what she said there about being $55,000 in debt, and that's the equivalent, if not more, than the salary of what a lot of people make. Because if you think about it, it is. I like these last couple because they're kind of like wake-up calls.
I have one more hot take. Credit card debt is not normal. I feel like people make a joke out of it on this app. I get it. If you are in between jobs, you are struggling, and you genuinely need to accumulate credit card debt, this is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about people that go out to dinners, go on vacation. I feel like there's a lot of young, impressionable people on this app, and I want you guys to know that it is not normal. I talk to my friends, we do not have credit card debt. It is not funny. Unfortunately, real life is real. Living within your means is so much better.
I totally understand what she's saying. Credit card debt to these levels is not normal. You might find yourself in debt for a month or so, but you want to be paying back that statement balance right away so you don't get these interest payments, you don't get these late charges, and then trying to just dig yourself out of a hole to get back to a baseline. She mentions not going out to eat and saving money there, and that's so true. I consider the situation that I'm in for me and my family to be pretty well off, but we rarely go out to eat just because it's so expensive. And we try to travel when we can, but we don't go on many trips, maybe one a year. But something that she says is she says her and none of her friends have credit card debt. That's one of those sayings that, like-minded people seem to attract other like-minded people. So I think in her case, she might be in a circle of friends that is financially responsible, and so she does not see that as the norm. Whereas people who have lots of debt problems are coming to something like TikTok to seek some sort of accord with people who are also in those same boats. And if you surround yourself with friends who want to spend frivolously, they don't care yet about saving, they don't care yet about starting to plan for their financial future, you could be having a lot of outside influence and peer pressure that's keeping you locked into these struggles, which it seems like a lot of these people do. This next one's probably an outlier. So he's going through there showing off his different sorts of credit cards and showing that he has no debt at all, which for all these other TikToks here, he's definitely on the out. And I really like this last one. She's straight to the point. Let's go.
I need everyone to know this about being in your early 20s. You will meet people that are going to Europe every summer, buying new cars, buying new outfits, going to Coachella. And if you are wondering, how can they afford to be living like this? Is something wrong with me that I'm not able to spend like that? Just know they aren't spending like that because they're working harder than you, because they're networking better than you, because they're better connected. They're probably not even generationally wealthy. They are just in massive amounts of credit card debt. How much someone spends and the life that they portray on social media is not necessarily reflective of how much money they are really making. Nothing is wrong with you if you're not able to spend like that. In fact, you are way better off in the long run because you are living within your means instead of going into crazy debt to portray a lifestyle that is far above it.
When I was younger, I made it a point to be living within my means. Like I said earlier, my wife and I, we don't eat out much. We weren't taking elaborate sorts of vacations and things like that. Both of our cars were used. We didn't go out partying. We lived in a crummy apartment until we could afford to move into a better apartment. We still weren't homeowners, but that was our goal. And once we both had decent jobs, that was our goal, being able to save enough money to put a down payment on our starter home. And we made sure not to get a home that was out of our means. So I said the last one was the last one, but I'll consider this the last one because this is a success story.
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm 27 years old, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but today I just paid off my credit card debt. After 2.5 years, maybe a little bit more actually, I finally paid my credit card debt in full.
2 years of debt.
After monthly just paying off interest and barely scraping by, because it is a very deep hole that you can dig yourself into very fast and not be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we don't normalize it enough, we don't talk about it enough, that yes, a lot of people have credit card debt and it takes us a very long time to get ourselves out of that. And I can tell you that it is an immense weight taken off my shoulders, and I feel incredibly blessed. And it's been a lot of dark days, but I'm finally over that. God is so good, and if there's any word of encouragement that I can give you today, is that that one day you will pay off your credit card debt.
So that is one of those rare success stories that you see posted. She didn't talk about how much debt she was originally in, but did say that it took 2.5 years to pay off, barely scraping by, barely being able to make the minimum payments. But what she did was the sacrifice that you have to do to get recovered. And she mentions having dark days, and it's true. You're gonna be dealing with mental stress, you're gonna feel physically stressed. It all goes back to them being honest with themselves, telling themselves that there is an issue and they have to change their spending behaviors, they have to change their savings, they have to drop the shopping, the fast food, the vacations. They have to make those sacrifices to get themselves out of this hole. If you appreciated this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe so we can hang out again. Plus, it really helps new channels. And if you have a question or comment, leave it below and I might feature it in the next video. Until then, I've been Dustin Prime, you've been you, and people, stay out of debt.